What's going on, y'all? I'm back with another quick volume of Welcome to the Franchise here. I'm excited to get into this one after the results of the NFL draft. Also, with the sports season going on, you got the NBA playoffs, which I want to get into as well with some other volumes. A lot of things going on. We got WNBA coming up in, I think, the next week or two. A lot going on, so it's been fun to tap into, the sports world and see the information out there. But first, we want to get into, more of this NFL shit, especially with the draft, the results, and how everything kind of went down in real time while I was able to catch it in between, really busy and hectic week, as far as catching up with sports and, of course, just handling what I got to handle out here. But with that being said, let me not waste any more time and tap straight into it. What I want to talk about here on this whole volume and focus on is, of course, what everybody's been focused on and been talking about all the way from before the draft started to when the draft started, through the whole weekend, down to the end, and after, of course, is SHEDEUR Sanders. So SHEDEUR Sanders slid into the 5th round, right? And in this draft, everyone's been saying, even during the season at Colorado, while it was still college football season, even when it ended, was saying it's between Cam and SHEDEUR being the number 1, number 2 QB prospects. Then after a while, after seeing their play and everything like that, it's definitive. Cam number 1, SHEDEUR number 2, but not a big gap like that, right? So seeing that SHEDEUR Sanders slide into the 5th round, to me, borderline criminal. And it's collusionist type bullshit from all the bitch ass owners and scouts who it just seems like they insecure, and it's really just hate. That's what I take it as now. Of course, maybe a little bit of, maybe a little bit of race involved too, but, I also won't skip past how, Dion also may have fucked this shit up with his words early in the year, talking that, we ain't going, if certain team want to draft SHEDEUR or draft even Travis Hunter, who's the top pick in the draft or whatever, right, top prospect, we ain't going for that shit because we know what kind of bullshit niggas be on behind closed doors. And I think that as a father, as a coach, also as a legendary player who put in work in this league, and also he knows more than the average person, us as fans, or he knows just as much as these other league executives and scouts and GMs and all that shit. He knows just as much as they know behind closed doors how these organizations be doing bullshit and ain't really about winning or developing talent. I think it's valid for him to say some shit like that. I don't give a fuck if it's like too early or he think he has status that maybe he didn't really have, similar to the Mannings and shit like that. But I think that's valid to say that, you know what I mean? But the thing is, they always want motherfuckers to be humble and shut the fuck up and not speak their mind, especially when you a nigga, and especially when you that nigga. You know what I mean? And you could talk your shit like that because of what you did in the league, and what you are about coming into the league, and you have a body of work that shows that, you know what I'm saying, I could talk like that because I lived it. You know what I'm saying? I lived being a playmaker. I lived talking my shit. He a champion. All of that. So when your son is up for getting drafted and it looks like he's going to end up in a bad organization or a fucked up organization, I think that it's valid for him to say that. Now, did that fuck the shit up for SHEDEUR and him sliding? Obviously, yes. That was it. But other than that, man, this is really just hate right here. This just goes to show that the league, as far as the powers that be, they only love and appreciate what Dion has done in the league and what Dion has done for the league, right? But they for damn sure don't respect him in the point like, where are you saying that, you want your son to play here, there? All right, bet. We're going to show, you know what I mean? We're going to show you that. All right, go ahead, talk all that shit if you want. We about to teach you a lesson. But they love, of course, him. He's able to be an analyst, talk on the game when he was working at NFL Network. They laud and appraise his ability and his championships, his legendary play throughout his career on the field and in the league, and then bringing, through those times and those years. I'm not saying he was the only one, or he was like, it's not like the NBA, like he was the player that made the NFL even more popular, but he's one of the players throughout the history of the league with his personality, his play on the field, his personality and marketability off the field, he's somebody that brought great value to the NFL through his play. So of course they're gonna love that shit and appreciate that shit because of what he did for the league. But they don't respect him, and they're like, oh, your son, this, that, or whatever. Like, we don't give a fuck if he's that nice. And then with the reports coming out, and I'm not saying that it's a lie. I'm not saying that it's true. I could see some parts of it being true, to be honest. I could see some parts of it also being embellished and a little bit exaggerated. What SHEDEUR in his interviews, blowing shit off and acting like he already got it, like he that nigga, he know he gonna be drafted with top 5, so he ain't have to take certain interviews with teams that serious. Like I said, the stories that's coming out, of course, is gonna be an impact. Half of it could be true, half of it could be not true. I could honestly, I could kind of believe both sides and shit, right? And then at the same time, I'm pretty sure, because I did see some footage, SHEDEUR's older brother, Bucky, who be having, I guess, his own production company and shit, he was there through the whole thing, like, filming it. They had the whole setup and everything. And motherfuckers don't like that shit. GMs in the NFL and owners and everybody and scouts and all, they don't like that shit because they're like, oh, he's a diva, high maintenance, it's too much, this, that, whatever. But it's like, yo, this is the world now. People are gonna have footage of their lives and vlog it and all this shit. I bet you there's other players doing the same shit also, but because it's Dion's son, and because Dion said what he said earlier, and then they already have a perception of how SHEDEUR has carried himself throughout the past couple seasons at Colorado and everything like that, this is what come with it. They're going to hate. They're going to be like, nah, we don't like that shit. Especially at the quarterback position. Listen, for years and years and years, when it comes to the quarterback position in the NFL, the story has been them motherfuckers need to get in line and know their place, especially if they a nigga, especially if they a black quarterback. So when they see that throughout the draft process and the interview process, they ain't gonna like that shit. But to me, it's like, yo, it's 2025 now. 2025, not 1985, not 1975, not 2005. It's 2025. Y'all motherfuckers are still being insecure and butthurt or feeling some type of way about a young quarterback coming into the league who came from money, already got money off the strength of his own play from NIL deals, is more than capable of playing quarterback. I'm not saying he's elite or generational. I don't think anyone was saying that. But in this draft, which is a weak quarterback draft, he's definitely the number 2 prospect. But you just don't like him because he come with all this swag. He confident in himself. You know what I mean? He talk his shit and he stand on it. And his pops is Dion. That's some insecure bitch ass hater shit, So I think that really they did him greasy, and this right here was, to me, a message to Dion and SHEDEUR, like, this was I'll show you niggas y'all place for thinking y'all could talk out of line moment. And it was shown nationwide on national TV. Everybody was talking about it. Everyone was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Everybody could see the bullshit. Everybody could see it. Jackson Dart getting drafted by the Giants, which, I'm not even going to get too far into that because I've been saying that for the past few volumes. Like, we know the type of quarterback that the Giants are always going to draft, especially to be their future. And even that nigga's not really their future. If you really want to get to the nitty gritty, he's just not the same type of person or same type of quarterback as SHEDEUR is, so it works for them, even though he's probably going to flop in about 2 or 3 years and shit, because it looks like just a little bit more athletic Daniel Jones to me. But he's not better than SHEDEUR. Tyler Shuck definitely not better than SHEDEUR to me. Don't get me wrong, Tyler Shuck could he could throw it around a bit out there, kind of like, but he's like an Andy Dalton type level player. He not better than SHEDEUR. Dillon Gabriel, who on the same team got drafted before him, he ain't better than SHEDEUR. What the fuck are we talking about here? So this was one of those where they showed nationwide on national TV, like everybody could see the bullshit, and for a league to continue operating like this, I mean any sports league, but for a league like of course the NFL still holding on to how they want to do shit, for them to operate like this just shows how insecure and bitch made these old closeted racist motherfuckers just be, or it don't even have to be about a race thing. It just shows how much these owners and everyone else, these scouts, GMs, executives, how much they are just fucking haters. They still hating like that, and it's crazy as fuck. They even gave and like I said, let's take the race out of it, whatever, right? They even gave the same hate to motherfuckers like a Baker Mayfield or a Johnny Manziel. Even let's take it back to Aaron Rodgers that time. That's why he slid all the way in the draft. The arrogance, this, that, whatever. These motherfuckers still ended up going in the first round. In the first round. I mean, Baker ended up going number 1 overall, and they would, shit he was doing leading up to being drafted, and during that season, even before the draft process, that whole last season at Oklahoma was pissing a lot of motherfuckers off. You know what I mean? And he still got drafted number 1 because he was capable of playing the position despite all that shit. And also, the analysts, the GMs, and scouts, they should all be ashamed of themselves too for letting the powers that be, the owners and shit, letting them force feed them a narrative that they got to keep going with. Like, oh well, niggas didn't think that it was due to his play, and despite the interviews, but it's due to his play. Nobody viewed him as a first round or a second round or third round. Y'all motherfuckers smoking dick, because everybody with their eyes could fucking see from the past season that he had, he was the second best option at taking a quarterback. And yeah, are there some holes to his game that he needs to work on? Of course. Same thing for Cam Ward, same thing for Tyler Shuck, Dylan Gabriel's, Will Howard's, whoever the fuck else, Jalen Milroe. And the thing is, too, that's crazy, is the same shit they're like, well, a lot of teams don't like he holds the ball too long and he goes backwards instead of stepping up in the pocket. It's the same shit that Cam Ward does. The only thing is Cam Ward got a stronger arm. That's all. So what the fuck are we talking about here? He all the way to the 5th from being the second best QB prospect, and now y'all go ahead. Y'all got force-fed this bullshit narrative because let's not make the owners or the media unhappy and shit. We got to do our job to keep our job type shit. I'm going to say this. Well, despite just the interviews, a lot of people on their boards just didn't think that he was a first round, second round, even a third round quarterback because of he holds on to the ball too long type shit. It was his play. Get the fuck out of here, yo. I'm not buying that shit. I'm not eating what y'all motherfuckers feeding me. You could do that shit with all these regular ass motherfuckers that watch this shit and want to just say the same thing in the same media cycles and shit. Because all of that is bullshit. So this is really about one program, one coach, one QB, and it's targeted. Because what brings me to this before wrapping this shit up is that I just seen and heard that Boomer Esiason, who he be talking some good shit on his takes and everything when, listening to New York sports, whatever, radio or YouTube and shit. Boomer Esiason really be talking some good shit at times. He be having some good takes and be having some pretty valid info, and he really be tapped in and has a pulse on how these owners, GMs, and some of these coaches, think and how they conduct themselves. And he said that all the owners, or a lot of the owners, or a big group of owners or whatever, told the GMs to pull SHEDEUR off of their boards, to pull him off of all their draft boards. And I believe that shit. I believe that shit. And it's like, what the fuck kind of shit is that? That's hate right there. That is straight fucking hate. And it's like I said, it's 2025, yo. This type of bullshit, this nonsense is uncalled for. And I, like I said, I wanna still even take it to for a moment, let's take the race out of it. It's just like, yo, y'all egos is hurt, or y'all insecure, or y'all just fucking haters. Like, what else could it really be about at this time in 2025 to really be operating like this? Like I said, I named a few quarterbacks, and I'm pretty sure there's some more that I missed or someone else could bring up. There's quarterbacks that have had terrible interview processes, or they've been mad arrogant or mad cocky, or they just weren't, even just not even just their interviews, their play. They still went first round. The motherfuckers remember Christian Ponder and Blake Bortles? Because in their highlights when they came out, I ain't see shit that made me be like, yo, fuck it. Despite all that he kind of whack on the field, let's still draft him in the first round. Get the fuck out of here, but it's because it's SHEDEUR and it's because his father is Dion. But I tell you what though, I can't wait to see this story and how everything comes to fruition for his career, because, you know, when shit like this happens, it just means that the person, not all the time, but I just feel like with that Sanders family and how they conduct themselves, especially Dion, and I'm sure how he raises his family and everything like that, and how he came up through his own career and his belief system and his mindset, that family right there is covered. Like, they are covered, and I can't wait to see how they all together, but especially SHEDEUR, even Shiloh as well. I can't wait to see the story, how they overcome this adversity, how they got in the league. It's going to be fun to watch, whether he ends up staying with the Browns for his career or not. It's going to be fun to see his grind and see him actually have a shot at really being productive and playing in the NFL. No one's saying that he's going to be the fucking next Mahomes or the next Lamar, or some crazy shit like that, or he's going to win multiple Super Bowls, but at least for him to play and grind, to earn the respect that he deserved coming out and being like, yo, he could play in this league. He could be a starter in this league for multiple years. You know, so I can't wait to see that shit. And that'll wrap this up here for me. We all know that shit was bullshit. We seen it with our own eyes. But that's going to wrap this quick volume up. Welcome to the franchise. Here, coming back with some more to tap in with the NFL draft and the NBA this week. But y'all out there, be easy.